Hello everyone! The long-awaited end of 8 years drivetrain warranty was approaching, so it was time to visit Tesla service center to solve some issues. But also visit my mechanic Marek to check everything once again, find some minor problems and to discover that the thing that worried me the most won't be a problem. One of my rear brake calipers was sticky and wearing out a brand new disc way too quickly, so it got replaced. Also very important thing in the EV, topped up the air conditioning gas as it wasn't cooling anymore. Usual service center experience after about 7 weeks waiting since booked through the app. Car was taken in to replace the high voltage battery fuse, but also requested end of warranty battery and both motors health check. Battery energy retention check and scan for faults in the system was done remotely while I was waiting in the car park. I like the look of these original 21-inch turbines a lot. I might get a set for summer and sacrifice a bit of comfort and range. Here in Ireland, Tesla offers only Model 3 and Model Y now. Juniper just got introduced and looks nice in black. You can check out my quick review of this model by clicking the link in the top right corner. Surprised to see Tesla bot on display for the first time. It looks cool. Model 3 performance. Such a nice car. Back to service stuff. High voltage fuse replacement message on the dash showed up a few weeks before. The car was drivable all the time, but there were some BMS faults in the logs, which worried me the most. Luckily, they were all related to the fuse and disappeared after replacement. A few words about that fuse itself, also called Pyrofuse, as it contains some small explosive charge to quickly disconnect a high voltage battery in case of emergency or accident. It has a lifespan of about 8 years due to the type of explosives used. Trusting ChatGPT on this info, Model S and X owners of cars built between 2015 and 2018 are getting this message after around 7.5 years, and they are arguably the easiest cars to service the fuse. The battery, it doesn't need to be detached from the car to access the fuse. Early Model S owners, sorry, the pack has to come off the car. Pyrofuse is located under the little cover on the top of the high voltage battery. Good opportunity to check for moisture inside the pack with a borescope. Model 3 and Y have seen some recalls due to the fuse and should be okay now. But in case of replacement, Pyrofuse is integrated deeper inside the pack's battery disconnect unit and less serviceable. In Cybertrucks, the Pyro access cover is bolted to the underside of the pack. You remove that small cover plate to expose the Pyrofuse assembly. My Pyrofuse was replaced under still active drivetrain warranty, but I also requested to check the drivetrain for moisture, leaks, potential rear motor coolant seal wear, and battery energy retention check, which showed 87%. I can't publish the data, but this is statistically in the middle of the average for an 8 years old car with 170,000 km. And it is very good for a car that lasts 50,000 km seen only DC chargers. Total cost €170. It is nice to see clean dash again. Unfortunately, Tesla refused to take out the rear motor's speed sensor to check for signs of a faulty coolant seal, so I scheduled an appointment with my mechanic, and just after opening the rear motor's bottom cover, I had a big smile on my face. My car is not equipped with an large drive unit prone to seal failures. Quick check with ChatGPT confirms that this is small drive unit derived from the front one, generally reliable and not prone to coolant leak issues. Inspecting the underside of the car while the car is up shows that the front lower control arms bushings look tired and need replacement soon. There is steering rack and behind it, wrapped with black sound insulation, front drive unit. The other side's bushing shows some wear too. For some reason, previous owner of the car replaced the rear right brake caliper only, but the left one was in bad shape and it was sticky. It wasn't moving back freely, it was wearing out my new brake discs too fast. The whole rim is covered in brake dust and the disc is shiny on this side. I needed the part number from the side where the caliper was replaced. I was able to take a picture of the handbrake actuator mounted to the caliper itself. That should do. Quick search on eBay and I found the part. It came from 2021 car. And part number was matching. It took a while as it was shipped from the US, but arrived eventually and it was looking okay, except scratched front maybe. Part numbers matched perfectly. 542 right side, 541 is left, and even the same revision B. 1 year difference in manufacturing date shouldn't be an issue. The old caliper was out, looking like it was overheated a couple of times, and replacement was installed and looking okay. No issues with the brakes since then. Now the last, but arguably the most important chapter in servicing of electric car, the air condition. I have ordered the complete set of parts for air conditioning service from Tesland.com, as they have everything needed here in Europe. But after visiting a local air condition specialist in Dublin, I was advised that simple gas refill is sufficient unless some part is faulty. It was a relatively expensive refill at well over €200. Apparently Model S needs over double the amount of refrigerant than Toyota Corolla. And after 2016, it's the R1234YF, more environmentally friendly and 3 to 5 times more expensive than standard R134A in early Model S cars. It is also slightly less efficient, runs at higher pressure ratios, and requires stronger, more expensive components. My air condition started to fade around 2.5 years after we bought the car. Also started to make a hissing noise inside the cabin when switched on. I knew that the compressor is running low on refrigerant, so I switched it off completely until the refill to avoid any damage. But I was also suspecting some leak. Luckily, around half a year since the refill, it is quiet and it still works as it should, and I can keep the parts for future service. A few words about why air condition service is way more important in an electric car. I organized the service as soon as I could, knowing that air condition is crucial to cool down the high voltage battery, motors, and electronics, mostly during charging or fast driving. My one stopped working, luckily, still in cold weather when the charging rates are much lower and there is less thermal stress to the components. But I was avoiding DC charging above 50% state of charge, long trips, and spirited driving at all cost, until the AC was fully functional again. Prudent, always insured. If there is one warning I could give you as an EV owner, keep your AC in a good shape all the time. Occasionally check for any coolant leaks under the car and coolant level under the hood, especially if the car is older or you don't know how it was maintained previously. When there is a coolant leak, there is also an air bubble and a cooling loop, and it can prevent the single battery out of over 7,000 of them in your pack from cooling. It might be spotted by the BMS, might not. It doesn't take long to overstress the sensitive battery used with faulty cooling system, especially in hot climate countries where the ambient and road temperatures are pushing the battery to its thermal limits regularly, and we all know what happens next. You better know where are all emergency door releases in your car. Now I know my 8 years old and nearly 200,000 km Tesla Model S is in relatively good shape. It doesn't belong to this place as of yet, and I will be keeping it for another while. If you've made it this far, please consider sticking around for more automotive content. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.